Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. Empress Dowager Cixi, a highly controversial figure in modern Chinese history, remains an enduring presence in the historical narrative. Her name was once seen as a symbol of the feudal imperial system, representing China's weakness and compromise during the humiliating late 19th century. However, behind this image lies a complex, profound, and multifaceted individual. Her reign, court politics, foreign policies, and personal emotions shaped a versatile yet contradictory historical figure. Cixi's negative influence is well known, particularly during her reign when the Qing dynasty transitioned from prosperity to decline. Her regency behind the curtain, conservative and obstinate political stance, compromises with foreign powers, and suppression of the 100 Days reform made her a target of widespread criticism. Yet, as an individual and a mother, Empress Dowager Cixi also had a softer side. Her emotions and care, especially within her family, revealed a very different aspect of her from her political image. When Cixi celebrated her mother, Lady Fuca's 60th birthday, despite being burdened with state affairs as the Empress Dowager, she could not ignore her deep love and respect for her mother. The poem she wrote, A Birthday Poem for My Mother, offers a key insight into her emotional world. The poem reads, "The love of parents is the truest in the world. Their tears and blood are fused into their children's bodies. They exhaust their hearts and efforts all for their children. What a pity the hearts of parents everywhere." This short poem, though simple, carries deep emotion and a profound understanding of parental love. The first two lines reflect Cixi's perception of familial love, particularly her experience as a mother. The phrase, "the love of parents is the truest," not only praises her mother but also conveys her own experience as a mother. Cixi, who lost her husband at a young age, having been widowed by the Qianlong emperor, poured all her motherly love into her only son, Emperor Tongzhi. This maternal love may have been the purest emotion in her heart and is echoed in the line, "Their tears and blood are fused into their children's bodies," which expresses the selfless and profound sacrifices parents make for their children. The premature death of Emperor Tongzhi at 19 dealt a devastating blow to Cixi. Her lament in the poem, "They exhaust their hearts and efforts all for their children. What a pity the hearts of parents everywhere," reveals her deep understanding of parental love. As a politician who ruled the country for decades, she controlled the fate of the empire. But as a mother, she faced the heartbreak of losing her son. This kind of separation and loss filled her heart with endless regret and pain. Despite the mixed evaluations of her political legacy, as a mother, her emotional world was no different from that of any ordinary parent. The phrase, "What a pity the hearts of parents everywhere," has since been widely quoted, even becoming a common saying, conveying the deep and unconditional love parents have for their children and their endless concern. Parental love is selfless and without expectations of return. However, Cixi's poem also reveals a deeper layer of complex emotions, the conflict between parents' excessive expectations for their children and the harsh realities of life. Cixi devoted her life and efforts to her son, Emperor Tongzhi, yet she was unable to save him. This helplessness and sorrow are poignantly expressed in her poem. As a mother, Cixi displayed both boundless care for her child and a cruel fate that she could not escape. She was not only a mother but also carried immense political pressure. During her reign, the political landscape was volatile, and she had to manage both internal court struggles and external aggression from foreign powers. Unlike ordinary mothers who can fully accompany their children as they grow, much of Cixi's energy was consumed by national affairs. As reflected in the poem, parents often sacrifice everything for their children but rarely have the chance to truly enjoy family happiness. According to some historians, Cixi was one of the few women in Chinese feudal history who truly held the power to determine the fate of the nation. In 1861, through the Xinyo coup, Cixi seized real authority, initiating her 48-year rule. During this time, her governance directly impacted the destiny of the Qing dynasty. At the beginning of her reign, Empress Dowager Cixi demonstrated remarkable political acumen. She successfully consolidated her position through palace power struggles and skillfully navigated the intricate game of balancing various forces. Cixi was adept at leveraging her authority to coordinate the different factions, particularly in handling both internal and external affairs of the court, where she portrayed the image of a highly politically astute woman. She was known for recognizing and utilizing talent, promoting a group of outstanding officials such as Zheng Guofan, Zhou Zongtang, and Li Hongzhang. Their efforts allowed the Qing dynasty to maintain temporary stability in the face of the Taiping Rebellion and foreign invasions. However, Cixi's conservatism and stubbornness became a significant weakness in her rule. Her compromising policies toward foreign powers led China to lose substantial sovereignty and interests through a series of unequal treaties. The defeat in the First Sino-Japanese War particularly weakened the Qing dynasty's position on the international stage, reducing it to a puppet of the great powers. One of the most controversial aspects of her reign was her suppression of the Hundred Days Reform. In 1898, Emperor Guangxu, under the influence of reformers, initiated political, economic, and military reforms in an attempt to steer the Qing dynasty away from internal strife and external threats. However, in order to protect her power, Cixi resolutely opposed these radical measures, eventually ending this brief reform movement with the execution of the Six Gentlemen of the 100 Days. This event not only caused China to miss an opportunity for reform but also exacerbated social tensions, laying the groundwork for the eventual collapse of the Qing dynasty. It is worth noting that although Cixi is often seen as a symbol of rigid conservatism due to her suppression of the Hundred Days Reform, she was not entirely opposed to reform. In the earlier period of her reign, she strongly supported the self-strengthening movement, which promoted China's military modernization and economic development. During this movement, Cixi adopted a relatively open attitude, supporting the introduction of Western military technologies, and the establishment of a modern navy and industrial facilities. Although these efforts faced setbacks during the Sino-Japanese War, they laid a foundation for China's modernization. In the late Qing period, as internal and external conflicts intensified, Cixi was forced to pursue reforms once again. In 1901, after the Boxer Rebellion and the invasion of foreign powers, Cixi realized the crisis facing the Qing dynasty and decided to implement the new policies. She abolished the imperial examination system, promoted the establishment of a modern education system, advocated for women's education, and sent large numbers of students overseas to study. Although these reforms came too late, they undoubtedly injected new momentum into China's modernization process. The reforms Cixi implemented in her later years also showed a certain degree of recognition of modernization. However, these measures fundamentally failed to save a decaying empire. Her reforms were more about preserving the rule of the dynasty rather than genuinely advancing society. Nevertheless, the reforms initiated in her later years, particularly in education, military, and legal fields, had some positive impact on Chinese society and provided a foundation for the subsequent Republican government to build upon and develop. In addition to promoting political reforms, Empress Dowager Cixi also paid attention to social and cultural changes. In 1906, she ordered the abolition of the foot-binding practice, which had persisted for nearly 600 years. Foot-binding, as a cultural phenomenon for women in ancient Chinese society, had long been regarded as a symbol of beauty, but in reality, it was a form of cruel oppression of women's bodies. Cixi's abolition of foot-binding liberated countless women both physically and mentally, and this move had a widespread impact on Chinese society at the time. Cixi also abolished the prohibition against intermarriage between the Manchu and Han people. These actions were only part of her late-life reforms. But they hold milestone significance in the cultural progression of Chinese society. Cixi's late life reforms also included granting women the right to education, which was particularly noteworthy. At the time, traditional Confucian society held very conservative views on women's education, with the belief that a woman's lack of talent is a virtue being prevalent. However, Cixi began to recognize the importance of education. She established girls' schools and advocated for women to receive modern education. Although this initiative faced opposition from conservative forces, it marked a significant shift in the Qing dynasty's attitude towards female education and laid the foundation for China's future social development. In terms of international relations, during Cixi's reign, the Qing dynasty faced increasing pressure from foreign powers, especially after the First Sino-Japanese War and the Boxer Rebellion. In the face of Western aggression, Cixi became increasingly passive. Under pressure from the foreign powers, she signed a series of unequal treaties, causing China to lose much of its sovereignty and interests. Notably, the Treaty of Shimonoseki and the Boxer Protocol marked China's complete descent into a semi-colonial state, which has led to significant criticism of Cixi's legacy in historical evaluations. Cixi passed away in 1908, and within 3 years of her death, the Qing dynasty collapsed. Her death symbolized the end of the last de facto ruler of China's feudal imperial system and the close of an era. Cixi's life was filled with power struggles, court intrigues, attempts at reform, and the difficult balance between tradition and modernity. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.